It's time to hit record.
Yeah, me too.
And welcome everybody to this episode of the Lonestar Halo. Well, you guys know me, Fernando, the Lonestar Halo, joined here by Jeff Bates. He's been a little more familiar around these here parts, but in case you don't know who he is, he has a Rangers podcast and he does a live stream almost every time the Rangers are playing. We are going to talk to him about the AL West and, of course, the Rangers as well. All that and more coming up after this.
1, 2, 3, go! From Texas to Anaheim, we're bringing the heat. Todd and Fernando got the news every week. Walk-offs, strikeouts, who's making a name? Who's in the clutch and who's taking the blame? Lone Star Halo, fucking baseball, here we go. Big hats, bad calls, who's gonna rise and who's gonna fall?
Yes, this is the Lone Star Halo show, and like I said, Jeff Bates is joining us. Jeff, how you doing? And thank you for joining us.
Man, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me. If I knew I was coming for Todd, I wouldn't have shaved my beard. I'm not as cute as Breezy. I'm not as awesome as Hacksaw. I'm still jealous about that. I love me some Hacksaw Hamilton, but I'll do my best.
We're gonna, like I said, we will work out next time he comes on. We'll get you to come on too, and he's a cool guy to talk baseball with. It's just such a shame because every time he comes on, we only get 30 minutes. Now, look, I'm certainly not complaining about anyone's time, right? It is the most valuable resource we have.
Amen.
But I mean, Hacksaw, I could talk baseball with that guy for hours.
I hardly ever shut up, but with him, I probably shut up and just listen the whole time. I love that guy.
I was talking to you before we hit the record button about like, hey, don't feel bad if you're going to, quote unquote, hijack the show. If you want to ask me questions, go for it. Now, when Hacksaw comes on, for anyone who's listening, he hijacks the show. But what are you going to tell Hacksaw?
Please, I would hope you would. It's him. I love him. I listen to that guy way more than probably should be allowed by law. I love that guy.
Yeah, he does a great job over there. Free plug for Mr. Hacksaw. He is a friend of the network. Make sure you follow his shows. It's Monday and Thursdays. So him and John Riley do a good job over there. So free plug to Mr. Hacksaw. Make sure you head on over to his X account. But Jeff, like I said, thank you for joining us. You've definitely become a friend of the network as well. I've had the privilege to go on some of your live streams or one of your live streams and talk a little bit.
We need to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk AL West. Of course, we're going to talk about the Angels. We're going to talk about the Rangers, of course. But right now, where we currently sit, we got Houston in first place, right? They are 36-29. In second place, we have Seattle, who just came off of a series loss against my Angels. They are 33-31, 2.5 games back. Your Texas Rangers stay just ahead of us at 31-35, 5.5 games back. Angels are 30-34, 5.5 games back as well. And of course, you have Sacramento, who has really fallen off. They were flirting there with, first and second place for a little while. But, to say that they have cooled down is a bit of an understatement. They are 26-41 and 11 games back. Let's start off with, I keep wanting to say Oakland. I keep biting and fighting that urge.
I call them not Oakland because who knows where. They've been so many places. I mean, not Philly, not Oakland, whatever.
So, that's a fair point. Are you surprised about the collapse they've had? Just because so many people going into this year were projecting their young guys to take the next step.
A total of 0% surprise from me. That team has great young talent, a bunch of studs, actually. But they don't have enough pitching. They don't have enough pitching for AAA probably, but they're coming. I think they're going to be good long term. Let's see what they do. I shouldn't say that. They have a chance to be good long term because again, we all know they got. Well, come on, that Wilson kid, 2 years ahead of schedule, at least 1 year ahead of schedule. He's off to a great start, and they've got Butler, and they got plenty of offensive talent. But who do they have on the arms? Severino, Sears, and in the bullpen they got a stud, but
yeah, with Miller.
Yeah, but other than that, that's they're not going to be trading off any pitchers because they don't have anybody that's going to want most of those names, in my never so opinion. So no, I don't think so. I think that they are the last place team by far. And I think what I thought in March is what I think in June. You guys and the Rangers are tied right now, right? The Angels and the Rangers. I still think that the Rangers have one of the better. I still think we have the best lineup and the best rotation in the AL West. Maybe that's me being a homer. I don't know. But the Angels I like moving forward, not so much in 2025. We talked about this before, but I think they're building it right. I really like some of their studs. I like their drafts. I like their roster. I mean, well, you know the names. I don't have to tell you the names. I'm on Lonestar Halo. But, the Astros, I think, are coming down to us. And I think the Rangers and the Angels are going to be at the top of the AL West, 26, 27. And I hope 2025, my Rangers can get up there.
Now, you've already said that you don't think the Angels are going to be a playoff team, which is fair.
In 2025? No.
Yeah, not in 2025. And we're on the same
boat. People.
No. Our fans are very realistic.
You know what? I didn't think Detroit was going to make the playoffs last year. I mean, just because I don't think they didn't make it doesn't mean they won't. I mean, you know what they're not doing? Listening to me. I mean, you never know what happens in baseball, but I don't see it. But you're right. Now they're tied with my Rangers, and I think they're going to win the West. So what the heck do I know?
Yeah, I will say it does very well seem that Houston. I'm not taking them seriously just yet. I do think they're going to cool off. Seattle, I disagree with you saying that the Rangers have the best starting rotation in the division. I still think that belongs to Seattle. When everyone's healthy in their rotation, I think it's hard to beat.
You might be right. We have 3 of the top 8 ERAs in Major League Baseball right now. It doesn't mean we will at the end of the year. Kirby was brilliant last night. I don't know when this will go live, but as we film it, Kirby might have been his best start of his career last night after just coming back and getting shelled the first time. So they're getting, they just lost a pitcher though too. It's not coming to me, but I don't know. Have they had the best pitching? By far they have. I'll put the Rangers up against it. We'll see what happens next. I think where I'm worried about the Seattle Mariners is the trade deadline. I think they are primed to go get a third baseman and maybe another outfielder. And if they go get a bat or two, well, it's the Mariners division to lose probably. And I don't know when you said that about the Astros, I don't not take them seriously. They're a good team. They're 5, 6, 7, 8 games over 500. They're not to be ignored. And I think it's a lot about Fromber. And are they going to hold Fromber? Or are they going to flip Fromber? We've been talking about I don't know who we is. A lot of people have been talking about Fromber Valdez being flipped because they're not going to sign him back again. Well, are they going to do that when they're leading the AL West? So I don't even know what to do with them. I think that Hunter Brown's a stud. And I think Fromber's a stud. And I think after that, there's a pretty far drop off now that they got Hader in the back of that bullpen. And that's pretty impressive. And here's the thing. Maybe I'm overvaluing that Bregman's not coming through those doors and Tucker's not coming through those doors ever again in Houston, at least not on the home side. So, do I believe in Isak Paredes? I think that, he's an above average player, not great. Christian Walker has a ways to go. He might bring a little added offense because he's a stud and he hasn't been a stud. But when I look at the offense there, Pena isn't going to be what he's done in April and May. He's not going to keep doing that. I just think there's going to be a coming back to the mean, to the average. And again, maybe I'm being a homer, but I think my Rangers are going to rise. I think the Astros are going to fall. My fear in the AL West is more Seattle than Houston, but that just might be my hatred for him.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? Houston, for the better part of the last decade, with obviously the exception of 23, they've really been the team to beat.
Oh, yeah. For
the last decade, right? And even with 2023, they've still been the team to beat over the decade, right? They won 2 World Series. One of them, asterisks, of course. But I will give the devil their due. But Father Time is undefeated. Their farm system isn't that great. Yep. Eventually, maybe it will be this year, maybe it won't. but the tail end of their quote unquote dynasty at some point has to end. We've already seen the deep playoff runs slowly start to come to an end for Houston, right? Last year, the Yankees made out of their division. But I mean, there was a long stretch for 10 years where they were the AL team representing and going to the World Series.
Well, they've run the AL West. There's no doubt. I mean, there's no arguing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So eventually their run will come to an end. Now, I was on record saying that I thought that the Texas Rangers were going to win the division. When the season ends, I'm not going to change that just yet. I do think Seattle is creeping. They're making noise, and they are certainly a couple moves away. And the other thing is Seattle has the means to make those moves.
They do,
right?
100%. And that concerns me about my Rangers. We really don't. We, the Rangers, have stated very publicly, we're not adding any payroll. They're not adding any payroll. Well, if we're not, we're one injury away from being out of it. I mean, is it fair of me as a Ranger fan, a Ranger homer, whatever, to think that DeGrom, Evaldi, Malley, Leiter, and Corbin all throw 25 starts by the end of the year? I don't think it is. But if that happens, well, I think we're in good shape. I mean, what's happened in the AL West is Seattle has had unbelievable pitching for 2 or 3 years, the best in the game, and gotten nowhere. And pitching wins championships. I believe that for my whole life. But that said, don't say that up in Seattle, right? Well, that's kind of where my Rangers are. I feel like we've kind of switched with them. We've got the pitching now. I'm just talking about April and May here, of course. And the hitting's been, more Seattle-like over the last 2 years. And so, I don't know. I think if I was picking the AL West, I would stick with what I thought early on. But again, I think with the trading deadline or maybe trades that'll precede the trading deadline, that could all change. And that could change if Houston too. If Houston adds a piece or two. I mean, I've been how do I say? I've been hoping, if not expecting, the Astros to kind of dump. And when I say that, I really mean Fromber. But if they hold him and they add somebody, well, then all of a sudden they're a lot scarier than both my Rangers and your Angels, in my opinion. Because I just don't believe the Rangers are going to add. I just don't. I see them, and that you don't subtract on purpose necessarily when you're in it, but if we're not going to add and we have an injury or two, that's subtraction by IL.
Yeah, and we've kind of said on this network, one of the things that kind of frightens me is the potential of the Angels being in contention and what the ownership and front office considers to be contention. Because if there's one thing I know about this front office, in case there's any Rangers, I mean the Angels front office, is the simple fact that they are quick to pull the trigger to, oh, hey, no, we're not rebuilding. We're not selling at the trade deadline. We're buying. Yeah. And Lord knows this organization is not in a position where they need to buy. Now, for anyone who's like, well, yeah, exactly, the Angels wouldn't be able to buy if they wanted to. Let's keep in mind, folks, the Angels have the second overall pick this year. And what that means is you're going to have a lot of early draft picks in those rounds. So with that being said, it's not impossible for them to dump off some of those, the 7th round guy, the 8th round guy, who knows, So with that being said, I do think that if this organization did want to move their poker chips to the center, because the Angels are within 3 or 4 games of first place come their trade deadline, I could definitely see them doing that. And they shouldn't. I want to make it extremely clear that they shouldn't.
Fernando, you're hitting it on the nail on the head, in my opinion. I mean, was it last year or the year before they added when none of us thought they would? I mean, they added Giolito and they added an outfielder. I don't remember who it was. And that was a rental for like 8 days. Like it was right before.
Yeah, they got CJ Cron. They got Randall Grichuk. They got They also got Moustakas. You know what I mean? They got.
Nobody thought they were in it. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with going for it. I'm all for going. If there's a window, I deeply believe you should go for that window. But if there's not a window, I mean, I don't know. I think that part of what MLB has done, this might be going down a rabbit hole you want me to go to, but I think that what MLB is doing with the expansion of the playoffs, frankly, it's hard to be out of it. Like, truly, you got to be pretty bad to be out of it. And who's out of it right now? There's only 6 teams, 5 teams, 7 teams. I don't know. I have to look. But it's not much. And I know the trading deadline's not here, but, what's too many games to Well, here, what am I doing? Let's talk about the Tigers last year. They were, for all intents and purposes, out of it last year. They flipped Flaherty, who they wanted. They brought him back, so they clearly wanted him. They flip him to LA. He helps in LA, and they go to the playoffs anyway. So how do you look at that as any GM or front office member? You look at the Tigers last year, who I don't want to call it giving up, but they gave up on the season last year and still made the playoffs, meaning they made a mistake that worked out for them. It's pretty crazy. I think you can make an argument that you're not really out of it in MLB unless you're, I guess, the Rockies and the White Sox and
Exactly.
the
Pirates.
Yeah. I mean, even the Pirates last year were in first place at this point or so. So
yeah, they started off very, very hot.
And you get in the playoffs, and anything can happen. We proved it. We were horrible in 2023 until like September 28, 15, 14, whatever it was. Not horrible, but we weren't going anywhere. And that same year, the Diamondbacks came out of nowhere, and so
it's true.
Just getting the dance, baby. I mean, it's not baseball of old. It ain't the best record versus the best record. It's getting the dance and get hot.
Yeah, all the Rangers needed was to listen to Creed a couple times, and all of a sudden that
love it.
All of a sudden that clubhouse woke up for Bruce Bochy.
Andrew Haney and Scott Stapp. I accept it. I like it.
So one of the guys I want to pick your brain on, you have been very, very patient with him, and I want to give you now an opportunity to withdraw the statement. And I think you know where I'm going with this.
So I don't. You don't.
No, Jock Peterson. So before he got injured, I don't want to say that he started to hit, but I guess technically he did because his average is up.
he did, and then he didn't. He got a little warm. I wouldn't call it hot, and then he kind of regressed, and then he went away for a while.
He's batting 167 his last 7 games.
Yeah.
So he's through 122 at bats. He's batting 131, and he's got 2 home runs, 6 RBI. So obviously, let's call it what it is, right? Those definitely aren't the numbers you were hoping for Jock Peterson. Now, how are you on him when he comes out of his injury? He's on the 10-day IL. Do you see him kind of slotting right back in? Do you think Bochy's going to keep giving him the at-bats? Or at some point, is he really just going to fizzle into being the vibes guy on the team? You know what I mean?
It's a good question. I think it's going to be a function of where we're at right then. I mean, when he is ready to go after he gets some ABs and he's ready to go. And I think that's August. I think that's an August date. I don't have it in front of me. I'm pretty sure it's a ways away. It'll depend on, do we need a DH at that moment? I mean, last year there was a black hole at DH for the Texas Rangers, and he didn't fill it very well this year. But what are we doing with Corey Seager? Is he our shortstop? Of course he is. But is he transitioning to DH? I don't really think he is, but is he going to be the DH once or twice a week? Yeah, at least once, I think. What do we do with Josh Smith? Well, he's great defensively, but he's been the DH a few times, and they like to play Heim and Higgy. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Jock's problem besides 160, whatever, is there's not really a place for him outside of DH. And so if we've got 4 outfielders hitting, or if we've got, Berger needs a day off at first. I know that Bochy likes to use Josh Smith. He doesn't really have a home. So we played him at first the other day. It cost us a game, frankly. But he played him at third the other night. He can play short. He can play second. He's played all 3 outfield positions. And Bochy likes, I think he's going a little Dave Robertsy on this. He likes to give guys a day off here and there. And where does that leave Jock Peterson when he returns? I mean, it kind of, it doesn't have to be Jock. If you put in somebody who's just the DH, your flexibility is nil. Also, I think the answer is a little bit Jock Peterson will come in when a guy in the lineup is a righty and they bring in a tough righty at the end. I mean, worst case scenario, he's getting an AB or 2 at the end of the game when they bring in the right-handed relievers for one of our left-handed bats. But if Jock is who Jock is and has been, he's not going to get 25 and 80 this year. But, if he's at that pace or that kind of swing in August, September, they're going to slot him in. I think it doesn't matter a little bit. I think that, you use the tools that you have, and I think that he'll be a piece that we use. And if he has a steady AB, I don't think he'll have a regular spot in the batting lineup, I guess is what I'm saying. But if he gets hot, I mean, maybe Doley gets hurt. He's our right fielder. Maybe Evan Carter gets hurt again. Somebody Wyatt goes to center and Peterson. I mean, there's lots of things that'll happen between now and then. I would say this: if he doesn't get regular ABs when he comes back, then the Rangers are in pretty decent shape.
That's fair. That's fair, right? I mean, if you have here's the thing. I know there's a lot of people in the Rangers side of Twitter who want to DFA him, right? They want to cut him, but you're not going to get rid of a guy with that big of a contract, right?
And you got him next year too. So
exactly, he's due $18.5 million this year.
There you go.
And then he's got a player option for next year. And let's face it, if you're Jock Peterson, you'd be an idiot to opt out because you're not going to get paid that again with the season you're having.
Player option. He's hurt and he's been bad. So unless he comes out and hits 30 home runs in September, he's not going to go somewhere else for another contract. There's zero chance of that.
Well, at least not for that. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if Jock Peterson were to opt out, I mean, someone's going to bring him in a camp, right? I mean, it's probably going to be a minor league deal.
What'd you say the number was? 18 million? Was that the number for next year?
18.5 for the next 3 years. Now, next year is only a player option.
Yeah.
And the only way the Rangers can overrule that player option is by fully guaranteeing 2026 and 2027 salary, which Jeff, by the way, is still $18.5 million. So
he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere. And whoever his agent is, please call me because that's a great deal. Some of these clauses are crazy. He gets an $150,000 if he's an MVP, $100,000 if he's an All-Star, $100,000 if he's a World Series MVP. Yeah, this is crazy.
You know what else too? Talking about that agent, he got him a deal with Whataburger, and we have Jake Burger on our freaking team. What the heck? Like that's insane.
What, they giving out Jake Burger jerseys at the start of the year with the theme night?
Yeah. Well, they had a night, but how do you have Jake Burger on your team and Jock Peterson's the guy that gets the endorsement with Whataburger? I mean, I don't see the commercials, so maybe they're annoyed with that, but whatever.
I don't know. In all fairness, besides Corey Seager and of course Marcus Semien and Juan DeGrom, I guess I would venture to guess that Jock Peterson's probably the most recognizable name. I mean, you have Adolis Garcia, but
Evaldi. I think Evaldi. DeGrom, of course. Yeah, Semien. Yeah, I mean, Josh. Yeah, I guess Wyatt's getting a big name. He's not even having a good year, but yeah, I guess I mean,
if I go up to 100 people at the Saginaw Target, and I'm asking them to name Texas Rangers, I think Jock Peterson might be kind of high up on the list.
I don't know. Man,
I think so.
I think he's probably better known in Southern California. Honestly, I think that he's a very popular figure in probably your viewers' neck of the woods more than here. I think that most Rangers fans are pretty annoyed with him.
Well, that's fair. But I mean, it's for the same reason like Anthony Rendon, so infamous in Anaheim.
Yeah, it's not that bad. But
what's
Rendon doing? Is he sitting in like the third row just laughing? What's he doing nowadays?
That's a great question. We really don't know because obviously he got hurt before spring training. There was talks that he might have met up with the team when they were in Houston before the Texas two-step and they came here to Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
But from my understanding, that's really the only kind of interaction he's had with the team. He's been very hands-off. I don't know what the organization's waiting for. Honestly, if I was them, I would wait till he hits that 60th day, reactivate him, and just cut him.
Yeah, I don't know the details of the contract that well, but he's getting paid a lot. I think him and Steven Strasburg are probably somewhere getting paid playing some high-pitched softball or something.
Yeah, I think they both got the exact same contract, if memory serves correctly, but I'm pulling it up now. I mean, is Rendon a Scott Boras guy?
I mean, I bet he is because he got the big contract, but I don't really know.
Yeah, so he's got $38.5 million coming his way this year and next year, which
Woo-hoo!
Is crazy.
For fishing and skiing and napping and whatever you want. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I know he lives somewhere near the Houston area, so.
Does he? Well, he's a right guy, yeah, so yeah.
He just goes over to Buc-ee's probably to to do whatever the hell he's doing out there. But yeah, I mean, his contract's been atrocious. And I mean, 2020, he only got $10 million, so you really can't count that. I'm sure that was just a deferred salary he got, which, I mean, I'm sure you and I would both take $10 million in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Poor guy. Poor guy only got $10 million.
What's better than getting a big contract to play baseball? Getting a big contract to do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, getting paid a big contract to not play baseball.
It's crazy, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, so we got $28 million in 2021. In 2022, we got $36 million. And then starting 2023 on to next year is the 38.5 he's been seeing. So
what a fall too. Like he was so good the last couple 2, even 3 years in Washington. Everybody wanted him. I mean, as much as non-Angels fans like to make fun of the Angels for that pickup, everybody wanted him. He had plenty of offers.
There were so many Rangers fans who were pissed off,
Yeah.
who wanted him because that was the year the new stadium was going to open, and and the Rangers really weren't contending at that point. And so everyone was waiting for that big splash to take place.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, hey, he's a Texas guy. Maybe he's going to go and play in Arlington. And the Angels ended up swooping in and stupidly giving him a giant contract.
And what a lesson it should be, but it won't be. I mean, some of those long contracts, how many, say it the other way. How many long contracts actually work out? I mean, there's a few. I think of Bryce Harper pops in my head, but most, by the time you're at the second half, it's an albatross.
But see, that's what you're paying for, right? You're paying for the first half. You're hoping that the first half is going to lead to a championship or something of that nature. Because here's the thing. No matter who you are talking about, Father Time's undefeated, right? I mean, Shohei Ohtani, I know a lot of people are going to get upset that we bring up his name. We try not to on this network.
Oh, I was going to say why, but then, okay.
He got that massive contract from the team up the Interstate 5. So with that being said, is there any way, shape, or form that when he retires, his contract is going to be worth the $68 million in deferred money that he's going to be getting? Maybe not, but if we're talking about a couple rings, if we're talking about the fact that this isn't a political statement, but just the way money works, inflation is always going to be more in the future than it is today. That's just literally how money works. So $68 million in 9 years now isn't going to be worth what it is today. Plus, he'll be living in Japan, so he'll be making a lot more of that $68 million. All that to say, is the contract at that point going to be worth it? No, probably not. Let alone the fact that they're paying so much other deferred payments also around that same time period. But once again, Jeff, if we're talking about a couple rings, it's going to be a lot easier for them to stomach.
I think there's two ways to look at a contract like that, especially those big fat ones, the Soto, the Ohtani, and whoever else you want to put in the top tier. And it's one is rings and two is profitability. And from a rings standpoint, I think the Dodgers will probably be happy with that. And we'll see. We'll have to play that out. So they're not done. But from a profitability standpoint, most people want to live in they're going to lose money at land fantasy world. They're making bank on that contract. I know that's not necessarily, it's not a Ranger, he's not an Angel. We're getting a little off the reservation possibly, but I love hearing the lunatics, and I apologize if I'm talking to anybody now, or I mean, even I don't know how you feel about this, but the Dodgers are making bank on that contract. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much sand you have to put your head in to think that they're losing. They'll be making money on that forever. I mean, the Yankees are still selling Babe Ruth jerseys. The Dodgers aren't going to stop selling Ohtani jerseys.
Yeah, that's fair, especially if he does retire, which I mean, I'm sure he will. As
I mean, we all
wearing that blue jersey.
I mean, you said it. Father Time's going to win, but the cash registers won't be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, now that I'm depressed, let's change the subject back to the AL West. So, are you surprised in any way, shape, or form that the Angels? So last time we talked, the Angels were on their 8-game winning streak. I think they were on 7 games, going for 8.
I'm your lucky charm, huh? Every time.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously, the Angels are still in 4th place, so let's not give them too much credit.
Oh, but they're rolling.
Yeah. Are you surprised at all that the young guys are treading water at the current moment? Trout was out for essentially a whole month. And he is the overall leader from what we can tell. But obviously, guys like Neto, Ohapi are staying hot at producing. Nolan Shanuel has really turned it on. Even Joe Adell's starting to get into the act. Where are you on the Angels currently?
I think they are what I thought they would be, and that sounds arrogant a little bit. I think they're a good team who's getting better. I mean, you got a stud catcher, you got a stud shortstop. That's a really good start. Your first baseman started 2 years sooner than anybody thought he would. That's he should be a rookie this year, right? Or even next year. No, I guess maybe this year. But you guys are in pretty good shape. I love your last year's draft pick. What are you picking 2 in a couple weeks? Didn't you say? So I think that the Angels are if they make the right moves, they're going to be in really good shape. I don't know how you feel about their pitching. I mean, I think the last time we talked, you were higher on their pitching than I felt like I was. I mean, I remember you guys, you hated Detmers. Did they throw him in the pen? That was interesting to me, but whatever. And, Joyce, we talked about that and we thought he'd get hurt and he did and all that. So there's some I'm not so sure is there, but there's a lot of talent on the offensive side, in my opinion. I'm a huge Zach Neto fan and I'm
Love Zach Neto.
Huge Ohapi fan. Like those two to me are enough to build around quite easily. You need more arms, and I think your bullpen is nowhere close to what you're going to have it be in a year or two when I think next year you could easily be a threat. Is that the way to say it? And let's be real. I did pick them. I'm still picking them, and basically we're tied with you. You guys are actually a game ahead in the loss column. So is it out of the realm of possibility? No, because I'll say it again. What did Detroit do last year? What did the Rangers do and the D-backs do the year before? I think this is probably what they are, a close to 500 team. I mean, I'll ask you, Fernando, you watch them closer than I do. If you're picking them in March or if you're picking them now, 76 to 79, 79 to 82. Well, I mean, you'd be happy at 84. I mean, where do you think they're going to be?
Yeah, for me personally, the goal and what I wanted to see was 500. And even if you're, 2 games off of that, you know what I mean? As long as you're in striking distance of 500, that's a step forward for a team that is looking to start flirting with contention next year. That's not a crazy statement.
I agree.
Next year is when the Angels should really be talking about, okay, hey, we're going to make a playoff push this year in 2026. Are they going to make the playoffs in 2026? Probably not. But that's when you should start looking at, we're going to be making a legitimate push. The goal this year is to play meaningful ball games in August and maybe even the beginning of September. That's what I would really like to see. And that's this going very well for the Angels.
I agree with everything you said, but I want to add, if they were to make 2 or 3 smart moves, I'm not talking about Ohtani Soto level moves here. I'm 2 or 3 smart moves. Maybe you get lucky with a starter or 2. I mean, teams that get lucky with a starter or 2, the Royals last year,
made the right signings.
Yeah, and all of a sudden things change, and then the other way goes too. You sign a guy who's, doesn't. I mean, a Jock Peterson type or a pitcher that you lose for the year. Well, then things go the other way. But I guess my point I'm trying to say is I think at least you've got a base there that is primed to at least potentially win with the right moves. A little luck, right? I'm trying to think of a name, but somebody. Well, I think Michael Wacha, right? I liked him. I've always liked him, but nobody thought he was going to be an all-star level pitcher. Well, he certainly was for the Royals last year, and they did what they did, and they signed some other guys. I mean, I don't know necessarily that I think they're going to be uber aggressive in the free agent market. And again, I'm not talking about Ohtani and Soto level, but if they were to be aggressive and they went 3 for 4 on some good free agents, the pitching staff all of a sudden looks different. You get somebody in the pen who's not Kenley Jansen. Not that Kenley Jansen's horrible, but he's older than me almost. I think that I wish we had a closer though. So I but I think that the base is there.
You guys have Lou Jackson?
Well, he was. It's Robert Garcia right now. We've got a good bullpen. We do not have a great bullpen, and we have nobody in the back. Garcia is the closer right now. Whew. It's Chris Martin is probably the best name back there. Last time he pitched was the first. He went one pitch, and couldn't even get out of the bullpen the 3 times before that. But he looked okay. He had I think it was a perfect 9th. The answer to the question is Garcia is our closer, and I'm not sure we go where we want to go if that's the case. And I don't think we're going to add. So maybe I'm being silly thinking we could still do it. But
I mean, the good thing with bullpens, Jeff, and you watched baseball a long time, respectfully. I didn't mean that as a put down.
Old.
What I meant is, as well as I do, bullpens in baseball are so wishy-washy, right? I mean, one day it's great. You can have the most stacked bullpen in the world. You're going to go through a stretch of time where those guys can't get anybody out. And they're going to go through some times where you have a terrible bullpen and these guys are nails for, weeks and weeks, and they're just shutting everyone down and mowing everyone down. So,
yeah, when the season started, I actually predicted that Mark Church would lead the Rangers in saves. He's in AAA. They did have him on the roster for a while. He flamed out. I think he's doing well down there, and they might bring him back up at some point. But I guess my hope there was that it's going to be one of the young arms that's throwing hard that comes up and becomes a. I mean, look at Cleveland last year. Nobody knew all those games. Who the heck was Cade Smith? Nobody knew who he was 18 months ago. Well, he's freaking amazing, and everybody else on that was one of the best bullpens ever last year. So
people knew Emmanuel Clase, and that was about it.
Sure, and what a year he had! Oh my gosh! But I think that if we could add an arm or three from the 21 to 24-year-olds in AA and AAA, and they could be a plus arm in the bullpen, and maybe we get a closer out of that. I'll say Mark Church. Boy, he hasn't had it this year, so what do I know? Emiliano Teatro, he started the All-Star Futures game last year. He's still a starter, and they want him to be a starter, but I like that. A lot of people thought that he might be a closer. And I've been pushing for the Kumar Rocker thing. They're not going to let him throw a bunch of innings this year, so to me that makes a lot of sense. Great fastball, pretty good slider, needs to work on a third pitch to be a starter. Well, to me, get him 20-25 at the back end of the bullpen, the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th, and that things could go well, but the CY, Chris Young, the GM, and Bruce Bochy have said they haven't talked about it at all. He's a starter. It's not going to happen. So I guess that's a fantasy that will not be coming true for me.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea. I mean, according to the organization, it probably is. But no, I think putting Kumar Rocker in a closing position or high leverage arm at the end of the bullpen could be a good use for him. But hey,
since he left Vanderbilt, he's not even at like 120 innings, and they say you got to throw like 500 innings in the minors before you're ready. Well, he's nowhere close to that. I mean, he's been hurt and he got hurt again. But if he's good enough to get out major league hitters, which he is not proving this year he can be at all, his ERA is over 8. But
unless he's against the Angels.
Well, and his last start in AAA, he was perfect through, I think, 3 or 4. I don't want to lie. I don't remember what it was. But so maybe he's in that 4A spot, where you're just not quite good enough to get out with the big boys, but you're good enough to shut down the kids. It is what it is. But they're not going to let him throw 160 innings this year. So even if he was throwing amazing, he's not going to be a starter for them, at least not more than 5 to 10 more starts if everything was perfect. So to me, you get an inning or 2 a night instead of 5 or 6 a night, and you get through the year and you haven't blazed his arm out. But whatever, it doesn't matter what I think. CY and Bochy seem to think that's not something they want to do.
Yeah, and the issue is, the Angels have a very clear path right now, right? They are a team that's not supposed to be contending. So any games they are in contention is a bonus, right? The Rangers, this is their window, right? It was technically supposed to start last year. They had the World Series hangover. That happens. That's very common for teams after winning a World Series in baseball. That's why we love the game so much.
Hasn't been anybody that repeat since what? 98, 99, 2000, the Yankees, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's parity in this sport, unlike, the NFL. So, with that being said, Texas is trying to win ball games. If they weren't, or, maybe they do slide a little farther into not contending. If that happens, maybe that's a conversation they have about, well, hey, whatever, we're going to let Kumar figure it out at the major league level. But it's just so hard right now when you're dealing with injuries, right? It's fair to say that the Rangers are pretty bruised up. Yeah. They've had a lot of holes that they've had to fill during various parts of the outfield this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Center field was a pretty decent sized hole there because was it Langford was hurt for a little while, right?
He was for a little while, but he's out in left field. It was Evan Carter that was the hole out.
Evan Carter.
It was Leote who got cut for the second time on the season tonight. But then it was Evan Carter, and it would have been Evan Carter if he was healthy and hitting. But he hurt his back last year. Apparently, he's healthy from that. Then I think it was a hammy. I don't want to lie to you, but I think it was a hammy. But he, 3 for 4, was triple short of the cycle. Just yesterday, I guess it was. So I think that one game doesn't mean he's back by any means. His average is horrible. He's not been hitting for most of the year. But if he is who we think he is, and that he's young too. Like, I don't know, when you were talking about our window, I hear that a lot, and I hear it a lot on like Rangers Twitter and even on every place, frankly. And I think
everyone's obsessed with windows, right?
Yeah, and I think again, I fear that I'm going to sound like such a homer here, but I fear that there's a little bit of misunderstanding about the Rangers in the window. I mean, Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter, Jake Berger, Josh Young, they're kids, man. They're kids. Seager and Simeon, okay, they're Grizzly veterans maybe, but Sebastian Walcott, one of the top 5 prospects. I don't know where he's going to be, but I think that there's a core of 4 or 5 on the offensive side. Now pitching, we're not young there, but maybe we are. I mean, Leiter, maybe I'm going to be fancy here, guys, but Leiter, Rocker, Bradford, that's pretty decent and all under 25. So
we also have DeGrom, who's always
I'm just talking about young guys. I mean, DeGrom and Eovaldi are, they're 3 more years
up there, respectfully.
3 more years is probably the best we could hope for. I mean,
I think the reason why people keep bringing up windows with the Texas Rangers is the fact that for the first time in a while, this is a wide open division, right? This is not Houston's division to lose anymore. You have a situation where, in theory, none of these teams are out of it just yet, right? May came to an end. June is now full swing. We're slowly going to be creeping to the halfway point here in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The draft is going to change the course of everything. I do definitely see an avenue where the Angels are no longer in last place in terms of the farm system after this. And if they do the trade deadline correctly, now we could be talking about the Angels maybe jumping up 8 spots. Right now they're like low 20s.
So you're hoping for them to reload with prospects at the deadline.
Yep. So personally, that's why I was telling you earlier, I'm a little worried that they are in a point where the front office probably thinks they're contending, right?
Who are your expiring valuable pieces that you're hoping to?
The biggest guy that I want to see moved is Tyler Anderson. He has an expiring contract. Mm-hmm. He's an experienced veteran. He's been there. He's played in some big games. He has experience with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Dodgers need arms right now.
What? Who would have thought we'd say that? But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And because he's an expiring contract, I think the Dodgers would do it, right? Money's no object to them. And I mean, even if it was, he's only getting $13.3 million this year. Only, once again, I mean, Jeff and I would do whatever the hell you wanted for 13. Right. You want us to dance, learn a little dance, a little TikTok dance, we'll do it.
13 million, just say
it. Yeah. There's not much I'll say no to for 13 million. I'm just saying. It's a lot of money. So only $13 million, obviously prorated at the time that they trade him. So with that being said, I'm sure a team like the Dodgers would be interested. If the Giants are still contending, which is right now, every indication I have is that they are going to be contending because they look good right now. Same thing with the Padres. You never know what you're going to get out of them. Yankees. No one's talking about the Yankees. Maybe they'll trade for him. So the point is, there are people who are going to be interested in Tyler Anderson's services.
Are there other names too? Like who else are you hoping they unload? I mean, I think you might have mentioned Adele last time we talked, but his contract's not big, right? He's
still in arbitration. So yeah. I really don't see an avenue probably where he gets let go. Now, if he gets paired with somebody, who knows? But I don't think that one's very likely. I think Taylor Ward is still going to be the guy who's.
I forgot about Taylor Ward. That's a good one. Yeah.
He's going to be getting a lot of phone calls. He has this year and next year of arbitration left. So my guess is next year he'll probably be a little more expensive. We'll be talking about maybe $15 million, which, for a guy who's going to hit you 25 to 30 home runs is still a bargain.
That's a game. Well, I mean, if you're going to rent a bat and you get him for next year, that's pretty nice.
Oh. Yeah, because look, Taylor Ward is kind of what Adolis Garcia is offensively, right? They're both about 25 to 30 home run type guys. They're going to drive in about 70, 80 RBIs. Now, Adolis Garcia's defense is way better than Taylor Ward. I think Taylor Ward is a bit of a defensive liability personally.
Okay.
Some people agree, some people don't.
He's one of those enough to know, but I'll take your word for it.
He's one of those outfielders who plays it safe, Jeff, if you know what I'm talking about. If the ball's ahead of him, he's not going to try to make that diving play often, maybe occasionally. Most of the time, he's pushing the dive button on the controller, and you're thinking to yourself, why did you do that? You could have just ran. You didn't have to dive. But, hey, you're not going to get on the top 10 plays of the day if you don't dive. So, Yeah, I could see an avenue where if the right deal takes place, Ward gets shipped off. I don't think that's going to happen. Something tells me the organization's going to think, well, hey, next year we're going to hopefully be good. Let's keep him for that one more year.
Well, but that tells me though you've got a bat and an arm. So no matter what, I mean, and I would think Detmers. I don't know your bullpen that well. I know you don't like him as much as I necessarily do, but it's a pedigree there. He's a former first round pick. He's thrown the no-nos. He's now in the pen. So that's a left-handed, hard to get left-handed bullpen arms. And he
But
could
see,
be a
I
starter.
don't think he's a bullpen arm. I think he's a starter.
He could be both. Like he could be
That's fair.
bullpen arm. I mean, or another starter. I mean, how many lefties are going to be available at the deadline? I don't know, but it's not a big number.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, this is probably a good year where the Angels should look to trade Anderson because, like you said, there's not going to be a little lefties out there. A big one, Kenley Jansen. I think that is a move that needs to be made. He's got an expiring contract, right? You signed him to $10 million. Let him go elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense too. If you're not in it, that's a super obvious one.
And you can probably make a good return because last year, Carlos Estevez, same situation, expiring contract. The Phillies gave up 4 prospects for him. Yeah. So, if you can get 4 out of him, I'm sure you can probably get about 4 out of Kenley Jansen. If not, 3 is going to be fine too, right?
Estevez is a lot younger, but you're still right. I mean, hardly any teams have a settled bullpen right now. I mean, there's so many that need one, I guess is a better way to say it. Jansen would bring something for sure.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about the Dodgers already. Once again, they need a back end of the bullpen, which once again, who thought we were going to say that, right?
People were mad at change the rules. The Dodgers are unfairly set. Who I don't even think I knew the name of the guy who started the other day for them. And he had like a 1-1 record already. I mean, so he'd already been there. I don't know. They've got names and they've got depth. There's no doubt. But what are we, starter number 14 or something for them already? And the bullpen's the same. I mean, Tanner Scott was what everybody wanted. Tanner Scott's been horrible.
Yeah. Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates has been hurt for him.
Yeah, I think he's back right now. But the point is, it's baseball, people. Just because you spend the most doesn't mean you win the most. Even though people are probably yelling at me, the Dodgers and the Yankees were okay, and they might be this year too. But you got to win it on the field, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So with the expanded playoffs, there's a lot of teams who are going to be looking to get better at the trade deadline, and hopefully we can bring you on a little closer to the trade deadline so we can talk a little bit about that. But yeah, those are just a couple of the guys that I want to see the Angels move. Yoan Moncada is another one that if he's healthy, I think he can probably get you a little bit of a return. Another expiring contract, very good defensively over at third base.
It shows he's got power. He had a monster blast just the other night.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely think that there's some moves that can be made. I just want the Angels to do the right thing for once. Normally they don't. Normally they're making the wrong decisions. So they could certainly make the organization a lot better for the next 10 years if they do this draft correctly and they treat this trade deadline correctly. You can change the course of the next decade for sure if you do it the right way.
I hear you saying that, and I don't want to bring up, he who shall not be named, but how different would it be if they flipped Ohtani for a Juan Soto? Look at what the Nationals are doing.
Well, yeah, they talked about Jackson Merrill would have been part of the Ohtani package if he went to the Padres.
They asked for him. Doesn't mean I don't think there's anything public that I've seen on how the Padres responded to that, but he didn't get in the package. But they certainly asked about him. And can you imagine? Or, the Soto trade. I mean, I get it. Not every trade's going to be like that. But look that's their best pitcher, Gore. I don't love Abrams, but he was an all-star last year, and he's certainly talented. Hassel is just getting there. And Wood, James Wood is amazing. So I think that I'm not saying you're going to get that for Taylor Ward. I'm not going to say you're going to get that for Tyler Anderson. That's not real world, and you can't go backwards. But that Ohtani fumble is just criminal almost. My goodness.
Yeah. But I mean, we've said many, many times on this network that it's hard to imagine the Angels getting better with the front office thinking the way they do. If they would have handled that correctly, if they maybe would have been a little more hands-off, or at least Artie would have been more hands-off with some of those signings. I don't know how involved he was with Rendon, but we know he was involved with guys like Pujols and Hamilton. And
Yeah.
I am a Pujols apologist. I love Albert Pujols. I grew up, that guy is one of my childhood heroes. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for him.
That wasn't a bad pickup. Come on, it was a longer contract. It's the same as you said. You're not going to win on the back end on that. But that wasn't Josh Hamilton. That wasn't Rendon. That was different. Pujols was pretty good for you for a while, I thought. I mean, maybe you get. How do you look back at the Angels' career for Pujols? I don't look at it as bad.
I give the guy a lot of credit because look at Anthony Rendon, right? The guy can't even be on the field. The guy can't even show up. The guy can't even be present. He's vocally talking about how much he doesn't like baseball. The season needs to be shorter. Oh, I don't even have a passion for the game. Okay, great. There are so many other people out there who would love to be in your position.
Yeah.
Retire, spend time with your daughters, your family and your faith are first. Nobody is mad that was the case. Everyone's mad. Yeah. Find me a single baseball player who, if they're being honest, wouldn't say that their family and their faith is the most important thing to them. Okay, that's not a bad take.
Even a long career, you're retired at 38. If you're a unicorn, you retire at 40, 41. Like those are very rare. So, and I get it. I love my kids too. 3 months out of the year, you got nothing to do but go to the Bahamas with your kids or Walt Disney or whatever. I mean, The issue for me with Rendon isn't so much the injuries. People get hurt. You can't control that. And it's not even his position he's taken. It's the way he has gone about sharing those views. And then, the thing with the fan, I don't know.
We almost punched the fan?
Yeah, he's trying to get his hat or whatever. Like, I don't – if you're already a pariah, just – and I get it. Fans, I am pro player 99.9% of the time. I don't like booing. I'm not that – I don't even like it when people say they're going to keep it real. I am pro player, unapologetically. But when you swing at a fan, I don't care what he said. I mean – I'm not saying it's okay what they said, but move along. If you're screaming at me and I don't know you, I don't care. I mean, maybe there's somebody in chat right now and they really hate my hat and they're I don't know you. I don't care. Why does Rendon care? And I get it. He hears it all the time, but he's brought it on himself in my never so humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to feel bad because here's the thing. You get paid $38.5 million. Shut up and take it. You signed up to be a public figure. Right, it's kind of like
but it's not even that. But he's brought it on because he couldn't shut up. Like you can be an absolute a-hole and just keep your mouth shut. There's plenty of guys. I don't want to necessarily throw.
I've met a lot of players who are assholes.
Yeah, me too. And we don't even talk about it because, I mean, Aroldis Chapman got arrested for choking his wife, and there was a gun that went off in the garage with her present. Those are facts. I hope I have that right. I don't want to be saying anything wrong. Nobody talks about that. Why? Because he didn't go and Rendon should have shut up. And my issue with him, again, it's not the injuries. It's the flippant disrespect for the game. I don't you don't like it? So what? Shut up until you retire about it. It would be, my PR. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but my PR advice, he doesn't care about my advice. He's not watching the show. But if he is, he's laughing at me right now and calling me a yokel. And maybe he's right. But I think that it's like the umpires right now. I'm mad at the umpires. Everybody's mad at the umpires. They brought it on. They got a quick trigger. I'm not pro getting yelled at. I'm not pro fans being bums. But Rendon, piece of work.
He does get under. He does grind my gears. Just like you said, just because of the way he carries himself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've said many things off record about him, but we'll leave it there. We'll leave it for when you and I are at the ballpark just chatting,
which we need to do.
Yes, absolutely. We will do that. Jeff, thanks for joining the show. Thanks for talking AL West. Thanks for checking in with us. Thanks for giving us your opinions. So for any of our fans who are interested, where can they find you to get some very good Rangers coverage?
Oh, I appreciate that. Subscribe on my YouTube at Texas Clubhouse. You can follow me on X at Jeff Bates on X. It's convenient because that's my name too, Jeff Bates. Yeah, those are the main places. Go. You know what? I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow a community. If you're a baseball fan, I hope you like my channel. If you're a Rangers fan, I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Although I say that right now, everybody's mad at me on Twitter because Rangers Twitter's a little loco, and I keep telling them they are. But I just love baseball, and I love talking baseball, and I go live a lot during the games when I can. More than half of the games I go live on. And yeah, just come on over. And if you don't like it, that's cool too. But if you do, stick around and subscribe. And I appreciate the time, Fernando. This is always fun talking to you, buddy.
I will say this for anyone who's like, well, why would I follow him? Whenever the Angels, so a lot of the time, like the Rangers have a day game, the Angels won't be playing. I'll pop on, an AirPod when I'm working. I'll put Jeff on because a lot of the chats, with his audience, kind of like when Todd does the post-game shows, I would say like 80% of them are about the Rangers, but there's also some other people that chime in. You get other people who chime in from other fan bases, and you answer their questions as well. So
my audience is definitely Ranger heavy, but I'll be honest with you, I'm going to take it where it goes as best I can, and I love baseball. I'm going to talk College World Series. I'm going to talk the NL West. I'm going to talk the Yankees. I'm going to make fun of ESPN. I'm going to rip on the umpires. Like I'm a baseball fan who lives in Texas. Now I'm a Rangers fan, and I love my Rangers. And sorry, I'm going to lose. Every person who thought about subscribing to me is going to leave me right now. I still root for the Dodgers too. I grew up in San Diego. I was born in LA. Grandma was a Dodger fan. If you look up on my wall, I got 77 Dodger stuff right there. But I don't watch the Dodgers now because I live in Texas. But my point I'm trying to say is I'm a baseball fan who loves his team because I live in Texas. And I would say we're probably 80-20 Texas talk, but sometimes we talk about Breaking Bad, who's not even been on the TV, sometimes we talk about, it's truly a community of people that hopefully are like-minded and have fun and just want to talk the game. I love the game so much. And I can't wait to do it again. Every day I want to do it more, except for life makes me, do other stuff sometimes. But this has been fun. I appreciate your time, buddy. And I hope I didn't scare anybody away. And if I didn't piss you off, come check out my channel.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone does go over there just to chat with him, if you ask him Angels questions, he will answer. So, because I've done it on his show. So, make sure you do
and I'll tell you my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, but maybe next year I'll be more positive about the Angels. But, we're tied right now, so what do I know?
I'll say this: you don't come on the show and badmouth them. Now we will call it down the middle, right? If the Angels aren't playing well, if certain players aren't playing,
I'll badmouth your front office all day, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm a terrible person. I kept telling you. While we wait for everything to upload, I'll tell you some stories offline.
Okay.
Off air. But guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, this has been the Lonestar Halo Podcast. We appreciate you guys coming on. Todd couldn't be here. He will be posting his post-game shows. So after every Angels game, check out the best post-game show in the Angels universe. That is the Todd Fox post-game show. He takes your phone calls, or I guess you come on his Zoom links, and you guys chat baseball. Jeff has been a guest on that.
Yeah. So I love that show. I'm not. Yeah, he talks AL West, because he's talking to the Angels when they play in the AL West. But I sometimes it's too late because I live in Texas. But when I'm still awake and I can get it done and I don't have to wake up early, I'm on there sometimes quietly and sometimes just listening, but sometimes jumping into.
Yeah, no, I will say this, Jeff. You and I are on the same boat. Once the Angels game is over, I'll post a scorecard and immediately.
It's late, sometimes it's late, right?
Yeah, I watch the post-game shows in the morning, and Todd
does
that.
I sometimes do.
He doesn't take it personally. He knows it gets late, man. I got to work, but thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you guys here next time. Go Angels!
Lonestar